Sorry, buddy. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm going to apologize now to my co-host, Mr. Matt Turner, as he was talking, and I just started the intro. So sorry about that, mate.
I didn't even see that at start. I was looking down at one of my notes and one of I guess quick cheap plug. One of the bonus episodes we're going to be doing for Talk Joshi is myself and Andy Header are going to be going through the PWI Women's 250 and talking about each and every Joshi. So I was just kind of looking down. I was just kind of looking down at the notes. The next thing I looked up, the intro video played. So I was like, oh, I thought I was talking to Rob. I was like, I guess not. He's like, no, boom. Yeah. No soup for you, Matt Turner. Don't have time for that.
No time for you, Turner. Time to talk.
That's right. You're darn right, buddy.
How are you, my friend, anyway?
Rob Goodwin. I'm phenomenal. Today is a great day. Great day, because on my way to work, I found out that one Howard Stern has re-signed for 3 years. So Howard Stern, not going into retirement, has re-signed for 3 years. But even the better news, which we found out about 5 minutes before the record button, which we'll get into, is Saya Kamitani won the overall MVP for Tokyo Sports, not just women's, but overall MVP. And I tell you what, Rob, I was a little upset camper the last 2 days, which I'm usually not. But these two bits of news and seeing your lovely face has completely turned my move back around to where it usually is for myself. Because, Rob, this weekend there was an injustice. I don't know if I have the words. Screwjob, paid referee.
I don't know where this is going.
Hook of the tights, put on the rope, twin referees, twin referees. But there was a screw job that happened on the football pitch this past weekend, Rod. And it's an injustice. And I think we need this platform to talk about it because it's not right. From what I understand, that your team scored goals, but I guess the referee said they didn't count. For you fans of the movie Major League, too high. They said the ball, the net was too high. I don't know what happened to Rob, but there is a screw job. And I don't know if the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, I'm showing my age, it was involved there with the twin referees. But it's not right, Rob. It's not right. And I think that we need to clear the air here. We need to get off our chest before we get into some fantastic professional wrestling. It's a screw job. That's what it is. Put on the rope. There was some shenanigans, offbeat shenanigans, my friend, this weekend.
Yeah, obviously Newcastle had their big game this weekend and just made such a mess of it. It was unreal. Darren Chatton, by the way, friend of the show, Darren did message me. Very gracious, very humble in victory. So I appreciate that, Darren. We were absolutely god awful, just tactically wrong, the wrong players playing, didn't seem to turn up. And then our big striker decided that we weren't giving him enough chances to score, so he was going to score in his own net instead. So we lost 1-0, and what makes it even worse is the person who scored was one of our own players. So yes, it was a brutal day. It was a brutal day, but it was made all the better by several things that we'll talk about today. And obviously, I have also managed to sort of hoodwink Kirsty into watching both A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. So we are close, Matt. We are close to Kirsty having finished the only real trilogy she needs to watch of the Star Wars films. So that was something. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just sort of add on to the football. Obviously, I was very down. I was very downcast. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to contact my friend, the most positive man. If I'm down, I know a person who is going to be able to turn any negative situation around into a positive. Of course, I messaged Matt Turner. Matt already knew the score because Darren, of course, had already messaged Matt. Thank you for that, Darren. But I sort of said, Matt, it was an awful result. We played really badly. I don't know what I'm going to do. And Matt asked, what's your record? Now, obviously, for NFL fans, the record is your wins, losses, and draws. We don't football in the UK, we don't really focus on that, really. We don't give a record. So I gave him our record, which is currently 6 wins, 6 losses, and 6 wins, 6 draw. No, 6 wins, 6 losses, 4 draws. And I waited for Matt's response, and waited for Matt's response, and then it came through. And even Matt Turner, the most positive person even Matt Turner could not find a positive. He said, "Oh, like O2 line in the Goddesses of Stardom tag league." I was like, that's not helping, Matt.
No, man, that's meant that you're a Zoomy. You're part of Zoomy, Neo Genesis, which is, by the way, did you see those cool sweatsuits that Starlight Kid was advertising? Starlight Kid, we'll get right back to it, but Starlight Kid, very much like Micah, the most active injured wrestler ever. She's selling 1,000%, yeah. She's selling so much merchandise. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely coming back one of those Neo Genesis sweatsuits. I don't know if I'm going to get gray or off gray yet. I still have to figure that out. I guess the lighting is going to hit me in Sumo Hall.
Absolutely, of course, yeah, sure.
That's what I meant. Anything with the Zoomies a positive. And Miyu Amasaki's really good too.
In my head, you would just you received that text and just went, "Ooh, that is bad." No, I was like, Matt can't make this positive. That's when you know it's bad.
First of all, it's Sunday, and my Sundays are just from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. They're literally nonstop. So it's kind of funny. I was at the side job, and of course, we were busy and understaffed as usual. You know, it's consistency's key.
Standard.
And I was like, you know what? When I get a second, I need to go off to one of the side rooms and see if how Rob's team's doing. Because I know he told me it's early Sunday morning for us in the United States.
It was.
And then when I got a moment, I pulled my phone out and I already had a message from Darren. And I was like, oh man, I was literally. And I think I even told him I was about to mess. I said, once I get caught up here after the afternoon rush, I'm gonna check on Rob, make sure he's okay. So then I texted Darren. Darren already told me what happened, buddy. At first, it was only 1-0. When we closed the podcast off last week, you thought it was going to be 4-0. So let's take a positive there. The other thing I didn't know until you just said it, it was your own teammate.
Yes, it was.
Scored the goal. So
Nick Voltemada, the big German. Yeah,
we had a heel turn basically. So yes,
honestly, mate, it was such a good header. If it had gone in the other net, I'd have been talking about what a wonder goal it was. But no. Decided to put one through his own net.
Yeah, so the heel turn. So the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase was definitely involved in one way or another, Rob. So everybody has a price. Everybody's going to pay. So
yeah, it's the NWO, the Nick World Order. Is the only thing I can possibly think. Exactly. I could hear Voodoo Child going off in my head. I was like, no. Yeah, well, it wasn't a good time to be in UK. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. It was not a good game of football. Like, neither team were great. And I'm sure Darren will be the first person to tell you that. Neither team were great, but Sunderland did deserve to win. They were the better. They were the better of two very cagey and boring sides. It wasn't a good game. They just riled us, and we never really recovered. But there we are. We're not here to talk about Newcastle, thank God. Otherwise, it'd be one of the most depressing podcasts of the entire year, I think. But Matt.
Yes,
there are lots of positives to talk about.
There are, and real quick, buddy. There's a lot of positives, especially in my neck of the woods, as you know. And I'm gonna throw this a quick trivia question to you. So, as you know, myself and Andy Header have attended the 2 big event shows. This year, so they've already announced a whole bunch of wrestlers for next year's big event, which more than likely we're going to. We have former Stardom alumni Jamie Hayter will be there. So. Yes, and they have also announced a whole bunch of wrestlers from the WWF era in the 1980s, which, as you know, buddy, is the era I grew up in. Now, they've announced Demolition. They've announced Brutus the Barber Beefcake, making a rare East Coast Comic-Con appearance.
The Boosie Man himself.
Relax. I don't know who that is. The original Rock, buddy. Don Morocco is going to be there.
I did see that. He's also at... What's as well, isn't he? WrestleCon for WrestleMania.
WrestleCon. Yeah, they announced Kevin Von Erich too, and I was like, "Oh man!" More than likely, we're not. Well, I know you're not going. I don't think we're going either. But that's another story for another day. Now, Rob, just yesterday, the big event in New York, they did announce a tag team that is going to be there. It is my first ever favorite tag team.
Oh, I know who this is.
Oh, I was going to give you a hint, but go ahead. Who is it, Rob?
Strikeforce.
Yes.
Yes, I saw them advertised yesterday, and I meant to message you, but it was just before I went to bed, and I was like, I'll remember to message you in the morning. Lo and behold, obviously I didn't. But I was like, oh, I bet Matt is absolutely buzzing. I was going to ask if you were going, but of course you're going.
Yeah, not unless something comes up. I think me and Indy Header are pretty well shoe-ins for that. So so you get Rick the Model Martel and Strike First version of one Rick Martel. So yeah, super excited for that, buddy. But a lot of great things to be happy about, including some fantastic news, Rob Goodwin, like nice little segue that we're about to chat about, good sir.
We are indeed. But before we get into any of that, Matt Turner, before we get into any of the news, which, as we were saying before we came on air, will probably take longer than the actual show reviews because Stardom only ran 2 shows on the 13th and the 14th. Not a great deal happened. Great matches, as per. The in-ring action was good, as always. We look like we may have a direction for Syuri, potentially at Dream Queendom, which is incredibly exciting if they follow through on that. And that is really about it in terms of the show. So we'll go through those from Fuji and Toyama, but the news will probably take a little bit longer to go through. But before we get to that, Mr. Turner, I think it's time, my friend, to talk about what is coming up on the Patreon this week.
Alternate commentary this week. Instant classic. Azumi versus Starlight Kid for the Wonder of Stardom Championship back at All-Star Grand Queendom, one of the greatest wrestling shows of all time. Semi-main event, which is a fantastic, fantastic match between 2 of my favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling. So that's alternate commentary. That'll be up on your feed, or it should be already up on your feed. And then also we have Azumi's top 10 personal favorite matches with myself and one Andy Header. Tag Team Breakdown got released over the weekend, which it was Momo and Azumi challenging Aphrodite, Utami Hayashishita, and Saya Kamitani for the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championship. So there is all that great stuff for a Merry Azumi Christmas and a high-speed New Year. And then I'm scheduled to drop on your feed this week if myself and Andy Header do our What If fantasy booking. What if Azumi did win this year's 5-star Grand Prix and how we would book her throughout the rest of the year and into 2026. I actually was doing my notes earlier today on this, and I came up with some really, really fun scenarios. So that is what's already up on your feed, what is going to be on your feed this weekend, and then coming up next weekend, we're going to be doing some bonus stuff because obviously myself and Rob are going to be out of the country for quite a bit. So I'm trying to get as much stuff in the can as possible. So this way there is material coming out while I'm in Japan. And there's going to be a bonus roundtable discussion that'll probably be in your feed probably sometime between now and the it'll be on your feed at the end of the month. And this is once I mentioned this to Andy, he's just like he was thrilled to do this one. We're going to do roundtable discussion, our personal top 5 all-time favorite professional wrestling video games. So
nice.
That's going to be a fun one. So there might be some bonus alternate commentaries on there, guys. There's just a lot of, I'm going to be literally sitting in this room pretty much all weekend, just cranking out some stuff. So this way Andy can drop some stuff while I'm in Japan, because we don't know how we can podcast, if we can podcast, we'll figure it out. We will call that in the ring, Rob, while we're in Japan, but we're going to try to get I'm going to try to get as much content in the can as possible for the Stardom Cast Extra. So this way there is constant content coming out on the Patreon feed, good sir.
Just wanted to update everyone as well with our annual Stardom Cast End of Year Awards. They will be happening as per usual, and as per usual, the ballot will open immediately following Dream Queendom on the 29th of December. I will be in Japan, but obviously I'll open it up while we are there, and they will close on the 4th of January, probably at midnight, the 4th of January. And then we'll do an award show. We'll tally up all the votes. We had really, really good uptake last year. Hopefully we get the same. Make sure you get your votes in. And we'll have a good time talking about that. So I'll make sure that the link goes up on social media immediately following Dream Queendom, simply because 9 times out of 10, a match that we simply have to include comes up at Dream Queendom, or it's the end of a feud that we have to talk about, or something like that. So it makes sense. Yeah, show of the year again. It makes sense that we wait until that show finishes. So that will be out hopefully immediately following Dream Queendom 2025 on December 29th. And as for all that bonus content, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast for literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of bonus content. All of our news, all of our reviews, all of our show previews as well are up on there as well. And there's only really one place to start, Matt, and that is with Saya Kamitani, as mere moments before we started recording, and this is a rarity in itself that we've actually come on and news has broken. As last week we were like, how have we somehow managed to miss the press conference? We'll be talking about that though shortly, because nothing really happened for once in a Stardom press conference. But the Tokyo Sports 2025 awards have officially been announced, and the MVP, it was a 2-horse race between Saya Kamitani and Ozawa. Saya Kamitani has officially become the first ever female to win the MVP award. She also won the Women's MVP award, but she becomes the first ever woman to win the MVP award, which is an enormous achievement for Saya Kamitani and really does put the cherry on what has been an incredible cake for Saya Kamitani. What I also thought was quite interesting was she becomes the first person since 2010 to not be from New Japan and win it.
Wow.
Since 2010, it has mainly been Hiroshi Tanahashi or Okada. Naito won it back-to-backs. I believe 2016, 2017. Zack Sabre Jr. won it last year. I know Shingo won it 1 year. But yes, Saya Kamitani officially your 2025 Tokyo Sports MVP. Clearly that bribery package she offered after Korakuen Hall worked. Just before I throw to Matt and his thoughts on what is, a really historic moment for Saya Kamitani and for wrestling in general, to be perfectly honest, Japanese wrestling especially. The rest of the awards are as follows. So the best bout went to Kaito Kiyomiya and Ozawa from Noah's 1st of January show. That narrowly beat out Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd from the Wrestle Destiny show on the 5th of January. Tag team, Yuto Ice and Oscar from New Japan, which, considering they didn't return to the promotion till halfway through the year, goes some way to showing the impact that they've had. Outstanding performance is Takeshita. Fighting Spirit, and this, Peps put this absolutely perfectly on Twitter. Syuri won the Fighting Spirit award, but considering she hasn't got the power of an official company behind her, she's not official part of Stardom, she's not an official part of Marigold, she is a freelancer. For her to get that many votes when she is a freelancer is a really, really incredible achievement. Hiroshi Tanahashi in his final year won the Technique Award. The newcomer went to Kaisei Takechi from DDT, and then, of course, the women's MVP, Saya Kamitani herself. Incredible scenes for Saya and our World of Stardom champion.
You think about all the great Joshis over the decades: Aja Kong, Manami Toyota, Lioness Asuka, Chigusa Nagao, Io, Mayu, Kairi, Tam, Utami, Syuri, Julia. There's Akira Hokuto. There's so many great women's wrestlers that have never won. Again, no woman has ever won overall MVP, but it was Saya Kamitani. And I think we kind of knew as we were getting close to the voting that it's going to be Saya. And I know some people were like, well, she really didn't have much competition. I'm like, I'm not going to agree or disagree. Like, Ozawa had a great year. I understand. I know he got injured, and I'm really excited to see him live in the Budokan coming up on 1-1 with you, their partner. Like, Hiroki Goto had a great year. Zack Sabre Jr. had a great year. Takeshita had a great year. There was a lot of wrestlers that had really, really great years. So you cannot discount what Saya Kamitani's done. And even if you're going to go that way, how's that Saya Kamitani's fault? Like, how is that Saya Kamitani's fault? It's not. Like, she did absolutely wonders, and this does so much good, not only for Stardom, Rob, but this is so good for Joshi Pro Wrestling and women's wrestling. This is a big, big change and a big shift in the industry over there in Japan. I mean, this is awesome. And you're absolutely right with Syuri. I didn't even think about that. And obviously, Peps is what a great follow he is on Twitter that Syuri did not have. She's an independent. I'm sure there's people from Marigold and Stardom and Marvelous, all these great and Sendai Girls, all these great companies that she works for. I'm sure they were definitely, raising her up, but she didn't have, the big machine like Kamitani has here with Stardom. But I mean, man, this was huge. This was huge. I know the voting ended sometime last week, and I text you. Well, I text you. I was like, hey, I always text Rob just to let him know, what time I'll be on to do the recording. And 2 minutes later, I was like, dude, Kamitani won the MVP. I was like, oh my God. 1, that's awesome. 2, news broke before we were going to record. That usually never happens.
I feel like that's bigger than Kamitani winning the award, to be perfect. We are notorious for missing out on breaking news.
You know what? Let's leave it to a Stardom Cast fan award. Folks, let us know on YouTube or the comment section. What is the bigger news? Saya Kamitani winning the overall MVP or news breaking before we hit the record button? I'm all about votes. I'm all about votes and polls.
Absolutely.
And so let us know. I want to know because now that's a great question. What is the bigger news? Kamitani winning this award or news breaking, big news breaking right before we hit the record button, Rob? Because it's very rare. Again, only once in the history of Japanese wrestling has that happened with a women winning MVP, and it just happened today. And I think only one time in the history of the Stardom Cast has news broke. So
absolutely,
it's like seeing 2 unicorns in forest at the same time.
honestly, incredible stuff.
All joking aside, this is great. I mean, obviously, we love Saya Kamitani. She's my clear runner for wrestler of the year in any promotion. She's one of I don't have favorite wrestlers. I always say my favorite wrestler is the wrestler that's moving the needle. And there's nobody, maybe in Stardom's history, that has moved the needle in the last 12 to 18 months like Saya Kamitani. And this is great. I was so thrilled, so over the moon. Congratulations, Saya Kamitani. This is well-earned. Not that deserved stuff. I don't like that. Well-earned from our World of Stardom Champion 1, Saya Kamitani.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And I think this is as good a time as any just to remind you of the infamous rant Matt went on after the Sapporo Rendezvous show back in 2024. I think it's quite a legendary head falling off moment.
I'm gonna wear my Saya Kamitani hoodie that after I had to pay for shipping, this thing cost me around $100 because of all the tariffs in the United. I gladly paid for it. That is another apology. The best wrestler in the world, Saya Kamitani. I'm sorry for my rant a year and a half ago. That's literally that's going to be on my tombstone. It's not just going to be like, here lies, great father, great husband. It's just going to be a video or the audio. Like if you walk by it, how if you go into a Halloween store and you walk by and you hear the scary music, if you walk by my gravesite, it's just going to be Rob putting that rant over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
I'm never going to live it down. That's okay. That's okay. I was wrong. It happens. I apologize, Saya Kamitani. You're fantastic. I'm slightly above average. So.
Speaking of Saya Kamitani, and we are going to speak about the opinions about dragging this into the feud with Saori Anou a little bit later on, but just keeping with the theme of Saya Kamitani, obviously we know that there will be an IWGP and Strong Women's Double Championship match between Saya and Syuri at Wrestle Kingdom in the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. We also now know where that is going to be in terms of the running order, just as Mayu Iwatani and Azumi last year, and Tam Nakano and Kairi at Wrestle Kingdom 17. It will be second on the card. Now, Scott E Wrestling, again, tremendous follow on Twitter if you don't already, just pointed out that Kairi and Tam got 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Another fantastic ramp for you to look up in the Stardom Cast archives. And Mayu Iwatani and Azumi got 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I think it's fair to say, man, I'll just briefly go through the rest of the running order in a moment, because Wrestle Kingdom 20 has been, the announcement of the full card has been slightly divisive. A little bit of an interesting card, especially with the winners of the Tag League being left off until New Year Dash. But putting this on second does feel, again, a little bit like an afterthought, and seems to be the position that we have the IWGP Women's Championship in now. As you know, we had it at the start of the card with Syuri and Syuri when it was added on at King of Pro Wrestling at the very last minute. Obviously, here, the previous 2 times it has been defended at Wrestle Kingdom. Just to give you an idea of the rest of the card, then, we've got the 6-man, the Never 6-man tag team gauntlet. That is going to open the show. Then it is going to be Syuri and Saya. We've then got a 10-man sort of stable warfare between the unaffiliated team of David Finlay, Shingo, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, and Hiromu against the United Empire team of Callum Newman, Great O'Khan, the returning Hanare, which I'm very excited to see, and then 2 mystery teammates. No IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship defense. Instead, it's a number 1 contendership match at the Tokyo Dome. El Desperado versus Kosei Fujita versus Taiji Ishimori versus Sho. We've then got, obviously, the debut of Aaron Wolf. He's going to be taking on Evil. Second from the top is Takeshita versus Tsuji for that double championship match for the IWGP World Heavyweight and the Global Championship. And then confirmed to be main eventing, something I think we all knew was going to main event, because how do you follow this? It will be Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada main eventing the show. A couple of things to point out, Matt. Really bizarre card for Wrestle Kingdom. I'm sure no one will give 2 hoots about that coming off the back of it, because this will all be about Tanahashi and the send-off that he gets, and rightly so. I imagine the gauntlet has been put on there so that they can get as many people on the show as is possible, which is absolutely fine. The fact that we are only getting 7 matches is interesting. The fact that we don't have IWGP Junior tag titles, the heavyweight tag titles, the junior heavyweight championship, the never openweight championship, the TV championship, none of these titles are being defended at New Japan's biggest show. And this is, by the way, a Tokyo Dome show, which is sold out 3 times, has brought in 50,000 people. In a year when New Japan have really struggled. Let's say it as it is. Creatively, directionally, they have really struggled. But yeah, a couple of interesting things. First of all, Matt, before we get into all of that, this isn't a New Japan podcast, but obviously we will be there. What are your thoughts on Syuri and Saya Kamitani going on second? It's often been referred to as the graveyard shift, second match from the top. How long do you see them getting? And do you think if Saya Kamitani sprints to the ring rather than taking her usual time with her entrance, they will give them even more time?
I will say this as a pro wrestler, by no means on my best day am I anywhere near as good as Syuri and Saya Kamitani. I will say this, when you're kind of put in that spot, challenge accepted. Okay, I have a spot. Challenge accepted. So, you know, Syuri and Saya Kamitani, this is maybe the biggest match in their career. I mean, they wrestle in front of almost 51,000 people.
Biggest crowd, absolutely.
Yeah, the biggest crowd. And this is a massive, massive match. I know you said, well, this title's not on the line, that title's not on the line. And it's just like, I'll get in that in a second. You know what titles are on the line? The New Japan the 2 women's championships, which is a big reason why we're going there. One of the most exciting matches I'm looking forward to that entire week. And there is some really, really tasty matches that I'm super excited to see. This one is right up there. This one or Kamitani or Anou or Tanahashi or Okada might be the match I'm looking forward to the most during this week, partner. So, okay, it's match second. I know that they're going to be airing, I think, 1.5 hours to 2 hours of this show on live TV. So now a lot of people are saying that this match probably won't make the cut, which is weird because we're like, when this Tokyo Dome show got announced, I think they announced this match before Tanahashi's opponent. Matter of fact, I know that they did. So this man, I know the crowd is drawn on Tanahashi versus Okada, a little bit of Aaron Wolf, because that's moved tickets really, really quick. And this match actually drew a lot of tickets as well.
They announced Saya Kamitani's, just her presence on the show, just the fact that she was having a match on the show 3 months before the card. It was one of the first things they announced, and they called a press conference to do it.
Yeah, that is, and again, only 7 matches. And again, I've seen every Wrestle Kingdom at live as they've happened since Wrestle Kingdom 11. I went back and watched all of them from 1 until 20, even those few years where they had 2, one on the 4th and one on the 5th, or one on the 3rd and one on the 4th. So it's like, I remember these shows going 5-6 hours, and it was like you can kind of forgive them for being 5-6 hour shows, because like they were all great matches, especially those last 5 or 6 were like must see matches. When you had like Minoru Suzuki and Shibata and Goto and Kenny and Okada and Tanahashi and Naito and Ibushi and Nakamura and so on and so on and so on. So I think 7 matches, Rob, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's in spot number 2, 7 matches. I think this is going to go more than 15 minutes. I really, really do.
I would hope so.
I think sure, and that's bell to bell. I know everybody's just like, Kamitani's entrance alone is going to be longer than the match, like
25 minutes. Yeah,
and I don't want the even Syuri. Like people forget, like Shuri's got a badass entrance. Like that music hits, and she comes down to the ring like she's going to kill somebody. Like she really, really does. Like with the hood up, and then she's got a championship belt when she's red belt championship. All that, or she has it here as IWGP. So just both entrances alone, I think, are going to be really, really great. But I think that Syuri versus Saori match back a few months ago at King of Pro Wrestling put on spot number 1, and I think it went just a few seconds under 16 minutes. And I think that was the litmus test. Like, can we put the women on a New Japan show and give them time, not this 5, 6, 7, 8 minute match, give them time to tell their story, and will it hit? And it certainly did. And now we're taking Saya Kamitani, who, guess what, boys? She won the Tokyo Sports MVP. Nobody else in that locker room won it this year. And the only other 2 wrestlers in that entire locker room to win that award are Tanahashi and Okada, which again, the Zack Sabre Jr. Because go, am I missing somebody?
Shingo.
Oh, Shingo as well. But you get my point. So I think it's going to go plus 15 minutes. Again, 7 matches on this show. This is a match that everybody really wants to see. I think the New Japan fans, the Stardom fans, are going to be really disappointed if we get a 5 or 6 minute match. Can Kamitani and Syuri have a really good match in 5-6 minutes? Sure. We know Kamitani and Syuri, their strong suit is when they go those longer distances. Like we didn't mind last year when Azumi and Mayu got that 7 or 8 minutes because it was a great match. We kind of figured if they're going to get sub 10 minutes, those are the 2 best wrestlers on the roster to tell that story. And they absolutely hit it out of the park. I know a lot of people had that as their best match of the night on Wrestle Kingdom 19. So I think you're going to go 15, 16 minutes, maybe even longer. Put the entrances in, the whole segment could be closer to a half an hour, which I'm hoping for. And I really, maybe it's just my positive optimism and the fact that they're on the poster. They've had the press conference. Like they're really pushing this match. Kamitani is a big, big deal. And so is Syuri. Syuri's been doing movies and plays and stuff like that. So Syuri's getting out there almost as much as Sai in the multimedia world. So I think it is going to go plus 15 minutes, Rob. Now, as far as the other card goes, I mentioned Zack Sabre Jr. How do you not have your main eventers from last year's Wrestle Kingdom not even on the show? Really weird. Not unless they're in that random Rambo.
They will be. That's probably why they've put that Rambo on.
So again, the card is really weird considering the fact that we're like, okay, we got Okada Tanahashi, Aaron Wolf's debut. We got Takeshita versus Fuji, which yes, that's going to be fantastic, and it might be the best match on the show. We got Syuri versus Saya Kamitani, a match that us Stardom fans have been wanting for over 4 years, and we're getting it in front of 50,000 people. And then you look at the rest of this card, and you're just like, sorry, New Japan, you kind of laid an egg here. Like you have all this opportunity. This is the biggest drawing Wrestle Kingdom in the company's history, one of the biggest Tokyo Dome shows since I thought I saw Meltzer reported since the UWFI versus New Japan feud and the Inoki retirement match with Don Fry. So it's like, it's one of the biggest Tokyo Dome shows that wrestling's had in a long, long time. And the first few matches we were really excited about. And then it's like, kind of don't get anything else. And it's like, you have the players in play. You still have a really good roster. I understand New Japan's not what it was, 4 or 5 years ago. You still have some really good players in play. And they're not on the show, or they're in a random 84 person match. Kind of missing the boat. Regardless, Rob, I'm excited for Okada Tanahashi. I'm excited for Fuji versus Takeshita. And I'm so excited for Syuri versus Kamitani. I really, really am. And I know that when we're in the Tokyo Dome, I might in the back of my head, I'll be a little bit worried that it's going to go like 5-6 minutes, but I don't think it will. With all the buildup, all the hype, I really don't think it will. I think we're going to get 15 plus minutes of Syuri versus Kamitani, my friend.
Yeah, again, we've seen 11, 12 match Wrestle Kingdom cards before, and having only 7 gives the opportunity to have every single match breathe. So I'm not particularly worried about the runtime. I'm disappointed that I'm not going to be able to see the Knockout Brothers, so Oscar and Yuto Ice, defending those tag belts against Zack Sabre Jr. and Oiwa, who I can never ever say his name. But apparently the deal with that was they wanted to basically main event the first post Tanahashi New Japan show, and they wanted to show people a New Japan show without Tanahashi. I would have liked to have seen that on the Wrestle Kingdom card, especially, I hadn't really thought about that. No Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota Umino on in prominent positions on the Wrestle Kingdom card, but there we are. It's again, we're there primarily for Syuri and Saya Kamitani, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada. And again, that Takeshita and Yota Tsuji match is going to be fantastic. And again, ultimately, it's a celebration of Hiroshi Tanahashi's career. And I think it's an event that is going to be one we talk about for many, many years. Obviously, what happens afterwards, that's nothing to do with us.
We're like, as you said, we're a Stardom podcast, and there's a lot of great stuff. Stardom on deck for 2026, my friend.
Absolutely. Supreme Fight at Edion Arena in February. Obviously, All-Star Grand Queendom coming up again in Yokohama Arena, I assume, in April as well, if they're keeping that that calendar that they've used this year. Moving on then, this is something that I wanted to ask you. Obviously, Saori Anou was advertising the show that they've run, or they will be running on Thursday, the 18th of December, which the card will run through very shortly. It's the card main evented by Saori Poi and Team 200 KG. Doing some advertising for that, Saya Kamitani popped up and strangled her with a chain and beat her up outside Shinkiba first ring. Very, very similar vibes to the build-up towards Saya and Tam in April. Between this and sort of the incorporation of the Tokyo Sports MVP Awards, the sort of will Saya, won't Saya being incorporated into the feud as well. Obviously, we saw Saya, handing out a bribe or handing out a gift. I think the exact terminology was at Korakuen, and then Saori Anou bringing it up in her backstage comments on the 13th. Is it a little bit carny, or what are your thoughts? I know that it has been not divisive online, but I know that there have been people that have been like, just no, it doesn't need to be about this. And actually, the fact that Saori Anou is effectively the last Cosmic Angel standing really hasn't been brought up at all in this feud, and it's where we all thought the feud was coming from.
Yeah, that's where it starts. The whole car thing, the picture that we see here, this was a little bit. Like, even like you could see, look at in this picture, like she's clearly posing for the picture. If you go back and watch it, Saori Anou visually feeds the neck for the chain.
Oh yeah.
With the Tam thing earlier this year, maybe because Tam got hit by a car, and I'm not advising anything to happen. It brought me back to that old Eddie Gilbert and I think it was Eddie. I know it was Eddie Gilbert and Jerry Lawler with the running over the car. Like, that took me back to my youth when I was like, holy jeez. And obviously they did that as safe as possible, but it still sucks getting hit by a car. So you got to give credit to Tam. Literally, I mean, she went all out on her shield for that retirement tour that she had earlier this year, where this was like, I see where they were going. I don't think it hit the buttons that it did for Tam. However, Rob, the press conference was, I know we did mention that there was nothing new announced at the press conference.
Oh, we'll be getting into the press conference. Don't you worry.
But okay, I'll save it for that. But boy, what they did at the press conference was phenomenal. And this was like 2 days.
That was far better.
Unbelievable. One of the coolest things they've done at the press conference was that, and it got so much buzz. That and the Hazuki, which again, we'll get into a second. But I think this one was a little bit, sometimes, I'm not saying it's a hit. I'm not saying it's a miss. For me, it was like, I see what they're doing there. I love Saya Kamitani. I love Saori Anou. Again, maybe their match at main event of Dream Queen, it might be the match I'm looking forward to the most that entire week, which is saying something for how loaded Tokyo Joshi Pro is and Stardom, and obviously First Dream from Marigold and the Tokyo Dome. But I'm really excited for the match. I understand they're trying to, put more into it. I would maybe focus a little more on in-ring because we only have a few shows between now and in Dream Queendom. I would maybe focus more on in-ring, and I would focus more Saori Anou getting some wins, especially over Saya Kamitani, because again, we're going to get into it a little bit later, buddy. She had another L from Saya Kamitani, which I understand, but Saori Anou needs to start racking up some wins between now and Dream Queendom, which again, we only have a few shows, but she does need a clean pin over Kamitani. I think even before Corkin, I think she will pin Kamitani on that Christmas Eve Corkin show. But I think she needs to start getting some wins over members of Hate really, really soon, because again, the clock is kicking down.
Wouldn't surprise me if that Corrigan Hall show is main evented, or at least semi-main evented by Saori Anou and Syuri versus Konami and Saya Kamitani. But you're absolutely right. We are rapidly running out of dates. I believe that Stardom have got shows on the 20th and the 21st, and then it's the Corrigan and New Blood. I believe I don't think I'm missing any. Obviously, you've got the show on the 18th, but that's not really a canon show in terms of Stardom.
We know what Saori Anou is doing on that show. And
we do know what Saori Anou is doing on that show. Nothing to do with Saya Kamitani, although I suppose Saya Kamitani might turn up. If we were to concentrate more on the stuff they sort of perpetuated during the press conference, as opposed to trying to sort of rehash what worked with the Tam feud, and it did work with the Tam feud, because much as you love Tam, and I think she's good, I think Tam is inherently quite a carny and cheesy character. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean like quite a big, sort of over-the-top character. Yeah, it works in terms of that, because no one does emotion like Tam. It's very over-the-top. It's very theatrical. Saori Anou is not that character. Saori Anou is nothing like Tam in terms of that area. So don't try and do what works with that, because it did feel corny. And if anything, for me at least anyway, it took away a little bit of the heat that they actually established during the press conference. And we might as well talk about the press conference, because myself and you thought that we somehow managed to miss the entirety of the Dream Queendom card being announced, and they confirmed absolutely nothing new. So currently, the card still stands as those matches that we announced last week. Saya Kamitani versus Saori Anou for the red belt. Syuri versus Konami for the white belt. Come on, Saya. Goddess of Stardom championship match. I believe that Saya Kamitani are being known as Bloom and Shine now, or Rise and Shine, I believe, which I quite like as a team name. They're taking on BMI 2000 for the belts. You got Fuji versus Hazuki, and obviously Natsupoi and Syuri as well. Matt, we've sort of had a little bit of a chat, and I think we are in agreement as to why more matches haven't been announced, but after you.
Yeah, Rob and I were, before we hit the record button, and right after the Kamitani news got announced, we made mention about how the press conference, we figured we'd get some more matches, and we didn't. We kind of figured, because Stardom's probably just waiting to see who's coming back from injury. Momo Watanabe, Han, and Starlight Kid. Possibly if they're bringing in Megan Bayne for that match they teased with Bozilla, which again we will go into where they may be pivoting, and the pivot is just as good, if not better, if they were going to do Megan Bayne versus Bozilla, because Bozilla's awesome. Maybe if they're going to bring in Mina Shirakawa, who knows? Who knows? So I think they're kind of maybe waiting for a few things, because if they were waiting to do maybe a special singles match, I'm just using, for example, Starlight Kid versus Micah, which I'm so glad Micah's back, by the way. She's so so good on these shows. You're like, wait a minute, if Starlight Kid's injured, then we have to pivot, and then maybe we have to put Micah in a multi-person match or a singles match with somebody else. So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll start get the full cards. Again, considering the fact that we've gotten the full card for the Tokyo Joshi Pro Show on the 4th, obviously Wrestle Kingdom we just talked about. We'll talk about it on Marigold later this week, partner. Pretty much the full card for First Dreams announced.
I think that is the full card now, yeah.
I think I think we're there, but I think they're just waiting for the final pieces of the puzzle to follow. So we didn't get new matches announced, Rob Goodwin, but however, there was some things that did happen, as you taught me, match graphics. So all these matches we thought we were going to get announced are official. Syuri versus Natsupoi, official match graphic. Hazuki versus Fuji, official match graphic. So couple other things I want to point out. So what they really used this as, this press conference, is to really build up the matches that were already announced.
Your
So
main
Syuri,
matches,
yeah, your main matches, Syuri and Natsupoi, really great promo. Hazuki, I don't know if you saw, but Hazuki, like 3 hours after the press conference, her part of the press conference got something like 250,000 views, and it was, and obviously I know it's because it's Fuwa-chan, but she had like 80% of that part of the press conference. It's wrestling, it's her deal. She knows more about that than Fuwa-chan. So I was like, ooh, there's like 250,000 people that saw Hazuki just basically cut a promo, a passionate promo. Again, I'm so excited for Hazuki because this is going to be a major opportunity to get more eyes on her. So that is a really, really good thing. And to me, the best part of the press conference was Kamitani and Saori Anou. They came out dressed in their Sunday's best, looking like absolute stars, like the absolute stars that they are. Really great promo, great stuff back and forth. Nothing seemed forced. You can tell Saori Anou, she's obviously not on that star level, at least not yet, of Saya Kamitani. Then again, who is? But she's really not that far off. That passionate promo and her facial expressions and the way she sold that, I thought was great. Then, of course, we get almost like the Rasi Ogawa style Stardom press conference where a fight breaks out. And then, unlike Rasi Ogawa, because Rasi Ogawa was like, I'm not getting involved. Teru Okada tries to get involved. He gets kicked and takes a bump down the stairs.
So the best bump of the show.
Yeah, there you go. But I thought, and there were some really great photos, a lot of really great way to gaslight this big championship match coming up on the 29th. And again, you want to talk about views. And again, it's subjective. You can say, hey, Matt, I didn't like it. I liked it. This Kamitani and Saori Anou stuff got like something over 1 million views within like 24 hours on social media, as well as the Hazuki Fuwa-chan thing. So again, this press conference got a lot of eyes on it all over the social media platforms. So they hit a home run there. Again, I think we were just kind of waiting because we know how these press conferences go when they're announced ahead of time, Rob. Usually we get the full card announced and we didn't get any new matches. Again, we're probably just waiting to see who's cleared, who's not, who can they, if they're bringing anybody over from a different company, who can they get. But again, you got to give Stardom credit. You know, Hazuki Fuwa-chan, they made that really, really interesting, as well as Kamitani and Saori Anou. And again, I know that Anou has not gotten any major wins in the ring since this announcement of the match, and she needs them. However, what they kind of missed, just again, there's still more opportunity to get there. What they've kind of missed in the ring, they hit an absolute home run with this press conference, making Saori Anou even more interesting than she is going in. So super excited for that, my friend.
Yeah, they were sort of the 2 points that I wanted to bring up was the Saya and Saori Anou exchange, which was great. Saya Kamitani did say that the car attack was because Saori Anou tore her dress, which I was like, just keep the car away. Doesn't matter. Just keep the car away. Let's just keep that away from the feud. And then obviously Hazuki's very, very emotional outburst, if you would like, burst into tears, sort of beside herself, you know, even though she was desperately trying not to cry, about Fuwa-chan choosing her as her sort of re-debut opponent. And actually, Mira Wrestling on Twitter has got a full translation of Hazuki's promo. And she says, quote, I truly think Fuwa-chan is awkward, just like me, and often misunderstood by people around her. But I've been right beside her and have seen her incredibly kind side, the parts of her that struggle and worry and the parts that feel such deep frustration. I've seen all those different sides of her. That's why I'm so happy she chose professional wrestling and that she said she wanted a re-debut match to be against me. Yes, that's how I feel. I decided not to cry, but I cried anyway. So a really truthful, emotional, and organically real promos. Well, and immediately that feels like a really important match, not just because we have got, you know, a star in Fuwa-chan, you know, someone who is a presence on social media, someone who is a big deal in Japan, but also because there is, you know, there is a bit of something there for Hazuki as well. Out of everyone she could have chosen, she chose me, and you know we are very similar, and I thought that was really good as well. I don't know if you've seen, Matt, recently Syuri has come out and said about Natsupoi wanting her to use this and push on to go for the World of Stardom Championship again. So there's lots of little fires cooking in Stardom. I do think if we were to make predictions, obviously this will come out on Wednesday, and the chances are the full card will come out tomorrow and all of this is negated. But if I were to guess as to who is cleared in time for the show out of Hanan, Starlight Kid, and Momo, I would say, if I was giving percentages, I'd say Starlight Kid 75. And this is based on absolutely nothing, but the fact that they haven't announced anything for the rest of Neo Genesis makes me think they could be doing an 8-woman, maybe against EXV, and the Micah, Xena, the fact. So we've got Hanan as well. Maybe comes out after the Konami and Saya match. I'd be surprised if she gets cleared in time for the show. I think if she was going to get cleared in time for the show, she'd have been in that white belt match. I'm still of that opinion. Again, I'm basing this on absolutely nothing. I don't think Momo will be on the show.
Maybe at the end if they do that angle that we've kind of been talking about.
I don't think they will, because I think now that Micah's back, I think that will be the direction. Which, if that's the case, that'll be very disappointing for the Momo win and the heat that she got going into that for the 5-star win and then into Crimson Nightmare. And we sort of gave it a pass, because it was like, right, well, let's see what happens. I think if nothing happens at the end of Dream Queendom and it's just sort of a straight up Saya Kamitani win, and then we just get the next challenger and it's not Momo, or there's nothing that happens with Momo, or hey, I'd feel very retrospectively disappointed in what they did with Momo.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, it's wait and see. Again, she's only 24, 25 years old. So it's just like Micah's back. She's the hot hand. Let's go there. Then maybe if they do Kamitani and Micah at Supreme Fight, which by the way, that building's almost sold out. I think there's only 4 sections that still have tickets left, which is insane. So maybe they do Saya and Micah there. And then after that match, maybe that's where Momo then makes her return. I don't know. We're going to wait and see to see what happens. Again, there's a lot of players that we don't know their health status. I completely agree with you with Starlight Kid, 75%. You said you're basing that on nothing. I'm basing it on all the merchandise that she's selling on social media, because
the fact that she is all over the social media. She's so happy.
She looks so happy. So I'm like, I think she's going to come back here. But again, if there's something wrong, obviously we don't want to rush her back. I would love to see Starlight Kid versus Micah. I hope Micah has a single. As much as I love Xena and Waka and Hanako and Stone Cold Brian, I want to see Micah have a singles match here on Dream Queendom, because she's had some really great singles matches on the last 2 Dream Queendoms with Tora and that No Rules match, and then the year before when she beat Suzu to win the vacant World of Stardom Championship. So I would love to see a Micah versus Starlight Kid match, but if they're either Starlight Kid's not fit or they're going to put an 8-person with Starlight Kid, I want to see Micah versus B. Priestley. I think that would be so good. Like, they have history going back to the DDM versus Oedetai days. I think that match would be hard-hitting and right up my alley. Again, B. Priestley is another one that we don't know what she's doing on this card. Again, former World of Stardom champion. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this card is flushed out, Rob. However, we did have a tease for a potential match on this show, Rob Goodwin, after a backstage segment, good sir.
We did indeed. Bozilla calling out Syuri. Look, I would love that to be a singles match on this card. The more I think about it, the more I think it will probably be a tag match. I wonder if it will be Syuri and maybe a Ronnie Agami against maybe Suzu and Bozilla, or a Bozilla and an Akira. Bozilla gets the win and then challenges Syuri. Well, I suppose it depends what happens at Wrestle Kingdom. I suppose it happens again, I imagine that might be a singles match we set up for Supreme Fight, because again, we have got pay-per-views we need to sell after Dream Queendom. We can't just cram everything onto Dream Queendom. However, Bozilla and Syuri as a pairing is one that excites me massively, because I think not many people can stand up to Bozilla and seem legitimate. You've seen people stand up to Bozilla and it being quite comical. We saw Syuri do it, for example, and that was great. I think Syuri is someone who could legitimately stand up to Bozilla and be perceived as a legitimate threat, even though obviously Bozilla beats her in the power and the size game. Syuri has the submission game, the striking game. Being a legitimate badass always helps. So that's something that I'm really, really, really excited to see if it comes to fruition and when it comes to fruition.
Yeah, good point. But flip it the other way as well. Like Syuri's a legit badass, and you really don't have too many people that are ready. Like who's
True.
calling out? Who's calling out Syuri? Like even Utami rarely. Like maybe it called her out once. Like who's calling out Syuri? Like nobody. And Bozilla is just like, I'm so sick of Syuri. Like I want to go and kick her ass. And I'm like, all right, Bozilla, and it's
I believe you.
believable. Yeah, because sometimes it's just like you have somebody going to the Lions Den, and it's like, oh, this isn't gonna end good. We're just like, man, Bozilla might kick the crap out of Syuri. That's a really good possibility. And again, the other way around. Syuri is legit under Bozilla. So it's a great match. It's a great pairing. Maybe they do it here. It goes to the old TLD. And then maybe after Wrestle Kingdom, which again, I'm still in the camp that Syuri's going to retain, then maybe you do Syuri versus Bozilla, IWGP, 60-minute time limit, maybe a Supreme fight. I mean, you can get more juice out of the squeeze doing more than one match, Rob. Then maybe you do a tag match on one of those shows on 1-3. So there's a lot that they can do with Bozilla versus Syuri, more than just one match. I think you can spread it throughout multiple matches, and hopefully that's what they do, because Bozilla's awesome and Syuri's awesome, and that pairing is going to be right up my alley. Hard hitting, really, really great stuff.
Let's quickly just jump about to a couple of other bits of news. We're going to start with a little bit of injury news, and it's really quite sad injury news, because Stardom announced just before the show on the 13th in Fuji that unfortunately Kanai would be pulled from that show on the 14th due to an injury. It comes just 5 days after her return from a 9-month absence because of that hand injury she sustained in the dojo. No timeline currently for her return. Awful, awful timing for Anne. Hopefully it is just a little bit of, sort of getting back into the ring and maybe a little bit of a shock. Hopefully, maybe she's tweaked something. I really hope that we haven't seen the last of her for another extended period of time, because again, to be out for that long, to come back and feel the thrill of it, and then to miss out again is really quite devastating. Then you look at Saki Kashima again. What a rotten run of luck this woman is having. She did wrestle on the show on the 13th in Fuji, but just before the show on the 14th, it was announced that Saki unfortunately wouldn't be able to compete on the 14th, and the card would ultimately be changed. Obviously, Saki has had such an in and out of the ring time, probably since the 5-star in 2024, with injuries. She had the foot injury that I don't think she ever really recovered from. I just hope again that it is something minor, because again, we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's a re-aggravation of an old injury, or if it is something new, or if it's just a case of, something doesn't quite feel right and they want to rest, because again, Stardom are blessed with a really deep roster. Either way, we obviously wish them a speedy recovery and, nothing but the best. But I just feel for both these women, because they really have had such rotten luck when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head there, partner. And because she comes back against Matoy in Corrigan Hall, gets great response. A lot of people absolutely love the match, which was a really terrific match. Got a great response from a sold-out Corrigan Hall show. And then she's on the shelf again. And then, yeah, Saki Kashima, she, back in early of last year in 2024, the first quarter, she was dealing with that foot injury, and then she's been off and on, off and on, off and on. And then if you go back and watch the match she had where she teamed with Syuri and Hazuki, which, by the way, Syuri and Hazuki, sure, that was a fun
Absolutely.
pairing.
I am okay with that.
That was a fun pairing. You could tell something wasn't right, because she was even saying something to Syuri and Hazuki, and I knew she was injured when I was watching the match. Like, I think the press release already came out. And then Syuri and Hazuki had to basically almost carry her to the back. They made sure she was okay. So I don't know if she got her bell rung or something like that, but hopefully it's something where there's air on the side of caution. And we've seen that before. We've seen it where Suzuki's sick and she's off a couple shows, and next thing you know, she's back for 6 months, absolutely running through the roster. So hopefully it's something where, Saki and Ann, again, as you mentioned, they have a deep enough roster. Hey, take a few days off. The rest of the girls will absolutely cover this. And then when she comes back, hopefully she'll be fit. So again, we'll see what happens on these next few weeks of shows. I'd hate for them to miss the big show at the end of the year in Ryogoku Kakakigen, because I think that would be a delight to see these two live, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. My only hope is that obviously once you injure something, it's susceptible to further injury. Speaking from experience, I've got a hole in my calf on my left-hand side, like that, which is quite nice. But obviously it means that my left calf is is really quite weak, and it will cramp up really quite quickly, and I sort of just have to play through it. And what I hope is that it's not a sign of weakness in an old injury, because again, that could lead to a longer period on the sidelines. So again, fingers crossed for both of them. Last couple of bits of news. We are going to head to Sendai Girls, who announced their final show of 2025, which will take place on Boxing Day in Sendai Pit. And of course, Stardom participation has been confirmed on this card. Hazuki will team with Chi-Chi against Red Energy, Mika Riwata and Miyuki Takase. And Emma Maishima will make only her second ever appearance for the promotion in non-title action against Sendai Girls junior champion Yuna. The full card for that show, by the way: Emma Maishima versus Yuna, Dash Chisako and Yura Suzuki versus Senkara Katsuki and Amari, Ryo Mizunami versus Manami. And I know that Steve has actually sent this. There is a little bit of background between those two there as well. Should be a great match. The aforementioned tag match with Hazuki and Chi-Chi versus Red Energy. And then your main event, the Sendai Girls World Tag Team Championship match. Team 200 kg, Chihiro Hashimoto and Yu, their final match as a tag team, versus Bob Momo Banana, Uriah Oka, and Mio Momono. Matt, typically great card announced for Sendai Girls, who have low-key been one of the most consistently well-booked promotions in wrestling, never mind just in Joshi. And this is another one that promises to be really, really good.
Yeah, Meiko Satomura, she retires as one of the greatest Joshis of all time, and she's picked up as one of the greatest bookers of all time.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely killing this booking game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it how they're putting in some of the Stardom talent. You get your main eventers in there. We've seen Syuri wrestle there before. Obviously, Hazuki's in this match. And then you get some of the younger wrestlers in there. We've seen Aya Sakura in there before, Sayaka Kurora, and now we're going to get Emma. And I think that's going to be a great spot for her, especially, again, these Sendai Girls shows, folks, and this one as well. Myself and Andy will be covering over on Talk Joshi. And Yuna, Sendai Girls junior champion, is always in those openers. And what do I always say, Rob? You always want to start your show off with a hot opener. And Yuna is a great open match wrestler, open the show match wrestler, at least at this point in her career. I have a feeling in the next 2 years, she'll be bumped up to the main event team because she's great. Super excited for this match. Chi-Chi and Hazuki, a team that I never know I wanted it until I saw the match graphic. I was like, oh boy, howdy. Rob Goodwin, we're going to get some Mika Wada versus Hazuki exchanges. Oh, so excited. One of the many things I love about these Sendai Girl shows is there's only anywhere between 4 to 6 matches. So each of the matches gets time to breathe. And I believe this one is slated as the semi-main event. So this is going to get time. And Sendai Girls usually does. They usually do back-to-back tag matches to end their shows, which I'm all for. I'm super excited for this one. Bob Momo Banana versus Team 200 kg. Rob, there's a time-honored tradition. When you retire, you need to pass the torch, especially when you're champion. I thought it was going to be FWC a few weeks ago. It's got to be Bob Momo Banana, right? And I love Team 200 kg, but I think it's got to be Bob Momo Banana. We will find out the day after Christmas. What a great way to spend my day as I'm finishing my packing to going to Japan the next day and cleaning up all of the Christmas presents that'll be underneath the tree, because Santa did tell me that I was a very good boy this year. But super excited for the show. And again, Hazuki Mika Wada tearing it up. Chi-Chi, she's fantastic. Miyuki Takase is somebody that has really been leveling up her game these last 7 or 8 months. Just another exciting show from Senjo.
And then finally, the last bit of news I just briefly want to go through is that we have the full card announced for the event that is called officially Natsu and Saory present Natsu and Saory versus Team 200 kg First and Last Battle, which is a typically concise and catchy name, but we do officially have a full card for this show. We did say last week that it had been announced that Saori would be taking on Team 200 kg for the first and last time on December 18th in Shinkiba First Ring. December 12th, they announced a full card for that show, which has Stardom backing, but is being just announced as a Natsu and Saori Presents card. Akira Kuragane and Uriah Hime will be taking on Motoi Hamabe and currently Ann Kanai. So fingers crossed she is okay for that card. Again, we haven't heard anything different, but we will see. Yuna and Manami will be taking on Emma Maishima and Kikyo Furusawa. We've got an all-EXV affair. Micah and Hanako versus Xena and Rian. Yes, please. All of the yes, please. Ron Yagami versus Mika Iwata is currently slated to be your semi-main event. And then Matt is very excited for that. And then, of course, the main event, which I've just mentioned, Natsu Saory Anou versus Team 200 kg. Matt, we talked about Meiko Satomura being the Booker of the Year. We've also got Syuri, who, of course, through her Syuriism shows, could be Booker of the Year. Natsu and Saori have run 2 shows. Both look like absolute bangers.
Yeah, I think this is like a special pay-per-view at like a discounted price.
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's what it is. So I'll be watching this on Thursday. I don't think I'll be getting up early for it. Regardless, I'll be watching this on Thursday. And then Rob and I will have to talk off air when we're going to be able to record next week, because next week is Christmas. And then we jump on a plane on the 27th to head over to the land of the rising sun. But it looks like a really, really solid card. Obviously, that main event, Team 200 kg versus Saori Poi, 2 of the best tag teams in Joshi the last 3 or 4 years. But again, folks, if you saw it on YouTube, you saw how happy I was. I punched my desk. Rana Yagami and Mika Wada, they're going to be punching and kicking each other. I'm really excited for that one. I don't know if you can tell, folks, the last 3 or 4 minutes, I'm a big fan of one Mika Wada. So another really great show coming up here on the 18th. This being a Joshi Puro fan is just so good, because like every day there's always good news, buddy. There's always good news and great wrestling to watch. Obviously, we're on the Stardom Cast. We love Stardom. We love Marigold. Tokyo Joshi Pro's been killing it. Obviously, Sendai Girls, we just talked about. They're having really great stuff. Oz Academy, marvelous as well when they get their one show up every 2 months. Regardless, really great stuff from them over there. But yeah, really looking forward to this one, buddy. The whole card looks really, really good. Fingers crossed Kanai does come back on this show. But man, this main event is just going to be another great match in the catalog of Joshi Puro tag matches that we have seen over this calendar year.
Let's start talking about these 2 shows then. Again, as we've already mentioned, we probably won't spend a great deal of time talking about these shows, as the 2 things that actually happened on this show, one of which was Bozilla challenging Syuri to a match, which we've already talked about, and then, of course, Saori Anou bringing up the Tokyo Sports MVP award backstage, we've already talked about. So we will talk about the matches, but again, probably won't be the longest in terms of match reviews that we do. However, we go first to Stardom in Fuji 2025, the December show, 13th of December. So this weekend, obviously prior to the show, as I mentioned before, Stardom announced that Ank and I would miss the pair of weekend shows on the 13th and 14th of December due to injury. The attendance inside of Fujisan Mess in Shizuoka was 434. Now, this is an 18.88% decrease on the previous show at the venue, 535 in October 2025, by the way. It's also actually the second lowest Stardom attendance at the venue of the 9 times they've run it, and it's the lowest they've drawn since night 6 of the 2021 Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, where they only drew 382. So a little bit of a disappointing number for Stardom in Fuji. I'm sure you'll agree. In terms of your results, then, we open with a 6-woman tag. The hate team of Konami, Rina, and Azusa Inaba defeated the Stars team of Saida Momokogo and Uriah Hime, with Konami pinning Sayarida with the buzzsaw kick in 10 minutes and 48 seconds. Singles match, Koguma defeated Emma Maishima with the sleeper hold in 7 minutes and 9 seconds. 10-woman tag match, Mivida Loka, Suzu Suzuki, Bozilla, Itsuki Aoki, Rini Yamashita, and Akira Kuragane defeated Godzai, Amisori, Hina, Tomoka Inaba, Ron Yagami, and Lady C, with Itsuki Aoki pinning Hina after a frog splash in 15 minutes and 3 seconds. 6-woman tag, Matt's favorite team, Syuri, Saki Kashima, and Hazuki defeated Natsupoi, Yuna Mizumori, and Kikyo Furusawa, with Saki Kashima stealing in for that pinfall over Kikyo in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Semi-main event, 8-woman tag match, EXV, Maika, Rian, Waka Tsukiyama, and Hanako defeated Meisera, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and a Neo Genesis convert, perhaps, in Motoi Hamabe, Maika pinning Matoi with the Enkara Toshi in 11 minutes and 14 seconds. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag action, the hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, and Ruaka defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Saori Anou, Saya Kakurora, and Aya Sakura. Kamitani pinning Saori Anou with the Star Crusher in 12 minutes and 27 seconds. Starting with that opener match, obviously Konami getting the win over her challenger at Ryogoku. Not quite the full story of the match, though.
No, again, most of this card is just preview tag matches that we're going to be getting for Sumo Hall coming up at the end of the month, end of the year. So, which is obviously what you want to do on these quote unquote house shows, Stardom World shows. This was a great way to start off the show. I always say you want to start your show off with a hot opener. You have two pairings that are over with Konami, Arena, Natsu Saory representing Hate, and then a Saya Ida Stars-led team. Always great seeing Momo Kogo, Peach and Lily. We mentioned it a few weeks ago, Rob. Sorely missed during the Goddess of Stardom Tag League because you're right, he got injured right before the tournament. I think it would have done a lot of good for that tag team to gel doing all those tag matches in the Goddess tournament. I thought they were terrific here. I really would like to see an Azusa and Rina Devil Princess match versus Peach and Lily. Again, they don't have anything going on at Sumo Hall, Rob. I had no problem with maybe that having them have a tag match at Sumo Hall or one of those shows on the 3rd. But I thought there was really great pairing again with Uriah Momokogo versus Azusa and Rina. But ultimately, this boils down to Kamitani and Saida kicking the crap out of each other. Just a little bit, Rob. Just a little bit. They can't give us everything like how Miko Anu and Mai Sakurai are doing over there at Marigold. They can't give us everything.
Escalating to just general assault.
I know they just dropped the show from the 13th the other day, so I'm going to watch that. And I don't know what happened there, but anywho, if this match, if the job was to get you more excited for that semi-main event coming up in Sumo Hall, and that's exactly what they did. So excited to see what's going to happen with Saida and Konami coming up in Sumo Hall. Great way to start the show. 3.5 stars for me.
Oh, completely the wrong order. For some strange reason, Koguma and Emma Maishima has disappeared from the PowerPoint. But Matt, it was the Bear defeating Emma Maishima next with that sleeper hold. What were your thoughts on Emma's performance here? Someone who continues to impress low-key on these shows.
Impress low-key the former Ring of Honor world champion or Thor's brother low-key? Or did she impress both of them? Both of them. She's that good.
That's how good she is.
She might be in Avengers Doomsday.
Everyone else is.
Oh, I'm so excited. Anywho, wink. Anywho, I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. As soon as I say it, you're probably going to nod your head. Put Emma in the high-speed division. She wrestles the high-speed genius in this match, former high-speed champion Koguma. They have almost like a mini high-speed style match mixed in with a comedy. Koguma gives Emma enough in the match to make it look like she can beat her. Ultimately, though, it is that spinning sleeper that puts away Emma. Really great match. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. Emma does a great job keeping up with the high-speed style that is Koguma. 3.25 stars for me.
Well, we've already said, haven't we, that once Yuna Mizumori dethrones Mei Seira, which is currently the only match that is official for that 24th of December Korakuen Hall show, which of course means that Mei Seira will absolutely retain because we've predicted Yuna will take it. The entire division needs rejigging and rethinking because you're losing Mei Seira from that division. And I think Emma Maishima is a perfect addition to that scene. Same with Momo Kogo, who I think will be added to that scene. You've got Waka in that scene as well, potentially add Azusa Inaba, potentially add Arena as well to that scene, and you've rebuilt that scene. 10-woman tag, obviously, God's Eye versus Mi Vida Loca. It's felt like Mi Vida Loca, similar to EXV. Without Suzu, Mi Vida Loca seemed a bit rudderless. Now that Suzu is back, they do seem a little bit more dangerous, which is exactly what they need to be. And it's great, always great to see Itsuki Aoki when they do manage to get her in for these shows.
Yeah, sometimes, Rob, we notice in these multi-person matches, whether it's 8 or 10 on these, again, quote-unquote house shows, they only go like 6 or 7 minutes, and it's just like, there's not enough really substance to get in there with all those wrestlers. But 15 minutes, there was a lot going on in this match in a great way possible. I mean, there were some really great exchanges with Ami Sourei and Suzu Suzuki. I don't know if that was meant to be or they just really just have great instant chemistry. Really great stuff with Ami and Lady C versus Bozilla and Akira, as well as Ron and Hina, my breakout team from the Goddess of Stardom tournament, versus Bozilla and Akira as well. So again, depending on what they do with Bozilla after the new year, I wouldn't mind. We mentioned this when we did our review of the Goddess Tournament. I wouldn't mind and probably prefer a Bozilla and Akira tag run sometime in the new year, because I think they work really well together. They have that underlining story where now Akira is good enough to team with Bozilla. Bozilla just is everything so good. Aoki, she was great. It's really great seeing her back, as you mentioned before. Give me Arena versus Tomoka Inaba singles match, because like their little exchanges, really hard hitting, really great stuff. Ultimately, it's almost just like Suzu calling the shots, being the play caller, knowing where to put her team in the right spots. That basically almost opens up the door for Itsuki Aoki to hit that top rope splash onto Hina for the 3 count. Really great stuff. 3.5 stars for me. It's really nice seeing these factions go to war in the way that they did in this one.
Obviously, you've already mentioned Hazuki and Syuri as a team you would want to see, and that's fair enough, let's be perfectly honest. But also, I thought Kikyo melded well with Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi, Matt.
Yeah, you look at the star powers in this match. Again, Hazuki, probably the Stardom Cast favorite wrestler, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on her going into and after Dream Kingdom. Syuri has been one of the pillars of this company over the last 5 years. Yuna, we both have pegged for big things at the end of this year and next year, and Natsupoi is also a massive star. They did a good job of everybody got some stuff in. There was some great Syuri and Natsupoi stuff. Whenever they get in the ring, Rob, I always think of that 5-star Grand Prix match they had in 2023 where Syuri just kicks Syuri around, punts her like a football, as you would always say. Really great high speed.
Oh, kicking Natsupoi around the ring, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what I said? Did I get that right?
I think you said Syuri kicking Syuri.
Oh, I want to see that match, like Mortal
Absolutely.
Kombat.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, Syuri kicking Natsupoi around the ring like a football back in the 2023 5-star Grand Prix. Great high speed and hard hitting action with Yuna and Hazuki. But this was all about, okay, everybody got their stuff in. Let's let Kikyo get her reps in here. Like, she's the rookie. She's the young one. She's the wrestler that Stardom's going to put a clear focus on over the next few years. Kikyo, I thought here was great. She was the great spotlight in the match. All of her stuff made sense. Syuri put her over. Hazuki put her over, Saki put her over. And then again, I think somewhere towards the end is when Saki maybe rang her bell or something, because it seemed like she was just off just a little bit. But I love it how it's like Syuri and Hazuki do all the dirty work, and then they basically just take Saki and put her on top of Kikyo to get the pinfall. 3.5 stars, fun stuff. And again, if Hazuki and Koguma don't go into a fashion, they should go to God's Eye. But then, there's a lot of members there. Crazy where it was
talking about
year.
OP, especially after we talked about him at the end of last year as being one of the most weak in factions in terms of firepower, just beaten every single week by hate. Yeah, they've suddenly just turned it around, which is great. I talked about Suzu Suzuki being the rudder of Movida Loca, writing the course, so to speak, for Movida Loca. That's nothing to what Micah has instantly brought to EXV. They feel like a completely different faction. And again, it's amazing the energy and the vibe that Micah brings to a wrestling ring. And it's only now, we knew she was great. Had an incredible run as Red Belt champion. Arguably should never have lost the belt, but that's by the by, that's a conversation for another time. But it's only that she's been gone for this length of time that you actually realize just how much of a star she is. Not wrestler, I'm not talking about how good she is in the ring. A star she is. And again, I said this last week when we talked about her return. Stardom have been crying out for a babyface that matches Saya Kamitani's star power, that matches her aura. And in Micah, you do have that. And again, just simply appearing with EXV has completely transformed this faction that, bless them, with the three of them, have been doing everything they possibly can. Absolutely no shade thrown towards EXV at all. Again, Mina left, Xena injured, Micah injured. Like they literally didn't have a chance. But again, with Micah being brought in, really changed the game for them.
Yeah, I really didn't. I just want to make mention that Micah losing the red belt was part of my Saya Kamitani rant from a year and a half ago. So that was the one thing I might have been right on.
Yeah. It was just, anyway.
But no, you're absolutely right. Like Micah coming back, it's almost like your star quarterback is injured. And your backup quarterback is still pretty good, and you have good receivers and a good running back. But once the star quarterback comes back, the energy changes. To quote Taz from ECW, the mood is about to change. But Micah comes in again. Just when she cuts the curtain, you can just see there's more energy in Hanako, Waka, and Rion. You're absolutely right, buddy. Those three did a great job with Mina leaving for AEW, and Micah is injured, and Zena's injured. Those three did a phenomenal job. I still think they're going to be the next Artist of Stardom champions sometime in the next year. Really great stuff here. Motoi fits in with Neo Genesis like a glove. And again, they teased a backstage segment where it's like, yeah, maybe you'll join Neo Genesis. I think she works in perfect here. This match starts off great with some great Mei Sarah versus Waka high-speed action. Those two never miss. Those two really have great chemistry together. And then it's just great teamwork with Hanako and Micah. Remember the runners-up of last year's Goddess of Stardom tag team tournament. And then it's Miyu. It's weird. It's Miyu Amasaki, kind of the one to slow down the train that is Micah. It's like, oh, it's not Azumi. It's not Mei Sarah. It's Miyu. It's like Miyu hitting up the pop-up DDT, which I thought was really good. Really great stuff with Azumi and Micah. Again, they had a great match that Shinjuku faced playoff last year in the 5-star Grand Prix. If you remember, Azumi wrestled 4 times on that night and wrestled Micah in the main event. Again, that's a matchup. If they don't have nothing for Azumi or Micah at Dream Kingdom, give us a special singles match with Azumi and Micah because that'll do really, really well. Then we get some great O2 line teamwork. We got the 8 boots to Micah. So it's just like your biggest star in this match is Micah. And she's the one taking the Neo Genesis 8 boots, and Motoi fit in perfectly with that spot. That is a classic spot. Ultimately, though, we get some basically Team Hanako and the rest of the girls take away Azumi, Miyu, and Mei Sarah. They kind of brawl the outside. We get a mini match with Motoi and Micah. And Micah does a great job giving Motoi a little bit here. Not a whole lot, but enough here to look like she can get the surprise win. Ultimately, though, is the 360 Lariat and the Anka Toshi. Haven't seen that in a while. Putting away one Motoi. This was my favorite match from the show. 3 3/4 stars for me.
And then moving on to your main event, Saya Kamitani getting a win over her upcoming challenger, Ryogoku, in Saori Anou. What were your thoughts on this as a main event? What did you think in terms of the build towards those 2 matches? Obviously, we've got the Goddess of Stardom Championships match in this as well.
My major negative, it's your main event. You're building up 2 matches for your big show, and you went less than 13 minutes. It's a short show. This should have went 16, 17, 18 minutes for them to tell their story. Regardless, the stuff with Anou and Kamitani was great. The singles and tag stuff with Ai and Sayaka versus BMI 2000 was great. Then the little interactions with Sayaka and Saya Kamitani were really good. You forget that it was Cork and Hall just a few months ago. These two had an absolute banger, which there was for a few seconds. Cork and Hall thought that Sayaka Kurara was going to defeat Saya Kamitani for the World of Stardom Championship. So again, really great harkening back there. Again, I'm loving the stuff we're getting with Saori and Saya Kamitani. I am so excited for their match. Ultimately, Saya Kamitani again pinning Saori Anou in the middle of the ring with the Star Crusher, Rob. Again, that's 2. Saori Anou does need to get some wins to build towards some momentum for Dream Kingdom. Regardless, they probably sold close to 5,000 tickets already. On that press conference, Teruka did say they're opening up all 4 sections. So I know that building can hold close to 8,000. We've seen New Japan do it before. So again, they already sold a whole bunch of tickets and did a great job on the press conference, gaslighting the their feud. Great in-ring action between the two. Again, I think just Saori Anou needs to get some more wins. Great match, 3 3/4 stars. But again, for me, I think this just needed about 3 or 4 more minutes for everybody to flesh out their stories going into the 29th in Sumo Hall, my friend.
And with that, let's go to the show from the 14th of December. This one from the Toyama Industrial Hall in Toyama. Just quickly, notable absences from the show. Obviously, Ankanai's continued absence. Saki Kashima, as we've already mentioned. And then on top of that, you've also got Saori Anou, Itsuki Aoki, and Rina Yamashita, who missed the show as they were on Oz Academy's Osaka show. Where they ran the 176 box, drew 450 to the 176 box, and well, so a good number for them. The attendance for Stardom in Toyama Industrial Hall was 545. It's a 20.84% increase on the company's previous house at the venue, which was 451 back in May. It's the second highest of the 3 shows run there in 2025. So in terms of your results, we opened with a great tag match. Cosmic Angels, Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori, they defeated the Neo Genesis team of Mei Seira and Azumi, with Yuna Mizumori pinning the champion, the high-speed champion, Mei Seira, with Mercury in 10 minutes and 31 seconds. Singles match, Rina defeated Kikyo Furusawa with a diving double knee drop in 8 minutes and 26 seconds. In a tag team match, Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki and Koguma defeated Miyu Amasaki and Emma Maishima. Hazuki getting the pinfall over Emma after Bear Heart. Turns out the name of the move is in 11 minutes and 2 seconds. I've always wondered what that move was called. Turns out Bear Heart. 6-woman tag match. Syuri, Tomoka Inaba, and Matoya Hamabe defeated the Mavido Loka team of Suzu Suzuki, Bozilla, and Akira Kuragane. Tomoka Inaba submitting Akira with the just face lock in 11 minutes and 9 seconds. 8-woman tag team semi-main event, the EXV team of Maika, Rian, Waka, Tsukiyama, and Hanako. They defeated the God's Eye team of Amisori, Lady C, Hina, and Rani Yagami. Maika pinning Rani Yagami with the Michinoku Driver 2 in 12 minutes and 52 seconds. And then in your main event, 10-woman tag team action, the hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, Konami, and Azusa Inaba defeated Sairida, Momokogo, Yuri Ahimi, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora, Tora pinning Aya with the diving body press in 15 minutes and 42 seconds. Matt, probably my favorite match on the card was the opener. Neo Genesis, Azumi and Mei Seira against Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi. Obviously, we know the great chemistry that Yuna and Mei Seira have, both as opponents and as team members. Obviously, we've seen what Azumi and Natsupoi are capable of doing, and what a way to open the show. You always say, start with a hot opener. Is this the epitome of that?
Yeah, maybe too hot, because I totally agree. This is my favorite match of not only this show, but these two shows we're going to review. Because sometimes you always want to have a hot opener, but then when it's like nobody else can follow it, it's a good problem to have. You know, that's on the rest of the roster. You got to give credit to these four. And again, this is a pairing we usually don't see that much in Neo Genesis with Azumi and Mei Seira, and a pairing we don't get to see that much with Natsupoi and Yuna. I think we dubbed Mei and Azumi the High Speed Sisters. And a couple weeks ago, you dubbed Yuna and Natsupoi was the Pineapple Fairy Pineapple?
Fairy Pineapples.
Man, somebody send us that picture. We've been getting some really great fan art as of late. And thanks, guys. Keep them coming. This was phenomenal. Obviously, the crux of it's so funny because like this match starts and you see where it's going to go. You're selling tickets to Korakuen Hall for Mei Seira versus Yuna. That's the main crux. Oh, by the way, Azumi and Natsupoi, they're slightly above average as well, Rob. Again,
they're really, all right.
They're okay. They're watchable. Really great stuff with Azumi and Natsupoi. And I really wish they would have got more time on their 5-star Grand Prix match. By the way, complete review for Azumi's 5-star run this past year will be on your Patreon feed in the next week or so. Great teamwork with Azumi and Mei Seira. They do this one spot where they do a double drop toe hold and they jump over the top rope at the same time and then do like a double drop kick to the person on the apron. We've seen them do it dozens of times before. I don't know how they can do it that fast without like something getting messed up. Mei and Azumi, they are just really unbelievable talents. Yuna looks great here. Hard-hitting, high-speed action. Everything she does makes sense. Great stuff with Natsupoi and Azumi. Great stuff with Natsupoi and Mei Seira as well. Every pairing worked, whether it was singles, tag, double team work. This was tremendous with Yuna getting the win with her version of the Fisherman Suplex in just under 11 minutes. 4 stars for me, my friend. Again, my favorite match from these two shows.
Moving on then, Kikyo Furusawa singles match with Rina. Rina getting the win with that diving double knee drop. Kikyo continues to impress, Matt.
Yeah, and again, I got to mention the render. It looks, if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like Kikyo's throwing like a spark out of her hand there. Out of her left hand, doesn't it? It looks like she's like
there is so much going on in these images. Like it's not quite as bad as that Korakuen show when Hazuki and Koguma faced off in the singles match, and it was all that Aztec stuff behind them, and it was just like, I can't see anything. It was like one of those art pictures where if you stare at it long enough, 3D images start appearing. But yeah, this is getting there, certainly.
like in Mallrats, stare at it, you'll see the sailboats. Rena's got a star above her head. Speaking of a star, I didn't even know I did that segue.
Look at that.
Rena's an absolute star. Being 18, 19 years old, we know she's capable of phenomenal matches. We've seen him with Starlight Kid and Nazumi and Han and Starlight. I mean, Rena's a phenomenal wrestler. But to lead a match with a rookie and have it be this good and make Kikyo look like she can beat, the finalists in the Cinderella tournament, a semifinalist in this year's 5-star Grand Prix, and 1/3 of the artist champion. That is really just goes to show you what a great next level talent Rena is at just, again, 18, 19 years old. Really great stuff. Great back and forth, some near falls. Rena selling the ankle lock, looked like she was going to tap out and brought the crowd into it. Really, again, Rena at just the teenage years, understanding crowd psychology and how much to sell as a heel as well. Excellent stuff. Or eventually just the big boot, the Northern Light suplex in the top rope knee bomb that does away one young Kikyo Furusawa. Phenomenal stuff. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Moving on, tag team match. Fukuoka Double Crazy getting the win over Miyu Amasaki and Emma Maishima. Emma Maishima eating the bear heart, Matt. Not like that. That sounds gross when I say it like that.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like a really bad horror movie there, buddy. But we've been asking for like the better part of almost 2 years. What is the name of that powerbomb neckbreaker combination? And now we know, buddy. Now we know the bear
There
heart.
you go.
This was really good. Again, Emma is in the ring with 2 former high-speed champions in Hazuki and Kagama. She does a lot of the high-speed stuff here. They build this match around making Miyu look like a legit threat, that she can almost single-handedly take down one of the best tag teams in all of Joshi, FWC. Ultimately, Rob, this match is just about the experience and tag team work of FWC. Really great teamwork, basically, breaking down and picking apart both Emma and Miyu. But eventually, it is that powerbomb neckbreaker combination, which we now know is the bear heart, picking up the win. Another 3 3/4 star match for me. Thoroughly enjoyed this show, my friend. This was a great match in the middle of the card.
6-woman tag. We're Toyama joining God's Eye this time. Did she fit in with God's Eye as well as she fit in with Neo Genesis, Matt? And before I throw to you, Syuri and Bozilla, what do you think?
Hell yeah. Not only that, but Syuri and Suzu. Tomoka and Suzu. Tomoka and Akira, again, really great closing stretch towards the end of this match. But to answer your question, Motoi actually fit in pretty well here with God's Eye. Not as good as Neo Genesis, but 2 shows. She's only had a handful of matches, just came back from a lengthy injury, and she fits in well with 2 of the babyface factions. So it goes to show you just how good she is and how good more than likely Syuri's the one kind of putting this match together, as well as Azumi probably put the match together the night before. So really just goes to show you how great these wrestlers are at Stardom, and Stardom putting in these younger wrestlers in spots where they'll succeed. Ultimately, it is a lot of Bozilla. I love it how Tomoka just comes in, she starts chopping down the tree that's Bozilla. And we saw this in the Azumi match back at Corkin that Bozilla had back in the summer, where she sells a little bit more. Like, it really takes a lot to chop down the tree against the levels of selling and the psychology of selling a Bozilla that makes her just such a really great standout wrestler. But yes, absolutely, Syuri and Bozilla, excellent stuff there. I thought Akira fit in her stuff really well. Interesting to see what they're going to do with Tomoka. Again, another wrestler, phenomenal wrestler that they don't have any plans for going into Sumo Hall. And just a really great 6-person match with Tomoka putting away Akira with the just tap out face lock. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. Another 3 3/4 stars match for me. Again, Rob, as good as this match was, the aftermath of a potential Bozilla versus Syuri match is really, really exciting for me, and I'm sure everybody else.
I mean, Suzu Suzuki is another one with nothing to do at Dream Queendom. The amount of people, talented people, top tier people on this Stardom roster that are currently without a match at Dream Queendom is ridiculous. An embarrassment of riches Stardom have when you think of the fact that Azumi's got nothing, Syuri's got nothing, Bozilla's got nothing, Suzu's got nothing, Mike has got nothing. There's so many people that don't have matches.
Fuki Death,
absolutely. I mean, do we even have a main event without the clown? I mean,
do you think they put it in or the 3-way with the Okada? Do you think they do 2 3-ways? Do you think they do both? I think they do Fuki and Death versus Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji, and then have Fuki and Death win both belts. And then she double pin, and then she puts the belts on the line the next match, and then she double pins Okada and Tanahashi, very much like the Warrior did at Savage at WrestleMania 7, just putting her foot on the two of them. Yeah, they're holding up both belts.
Then just stands there, holds up both belts, just soaking in the adulation, because that's only going to get positive praise. So just soaking in that adulation from the crowd.
And then at the end, you know how like the big WWE stadium shows that like, you know, Cody wins the belt at WrestleMania or whatever. Then they show the, you know, basically the footage above the stadium of all the fireworks going off. Then on the Tokyo Dome, it's just Fuking Death's face paint. That's how you go off air.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got blimps going all the way around the Tokyo Dome, and it's just Fuki. There you go. There you go. Why are we not working for Bushi Road? Why?
They're afraid of money. They're afraid of money.
Must be. It's the only reason I can possibly think of. Moving on then to the semi-main 8-woman tag, EXV versus Godzilla. Great match, but again, it was, for me at least, it was just another example of what EXV have been missing in Micah's absence.
Yeah, you had a lot of really great stuff here. And again, you have obviously 8 great wrestlers, 2 great factions, and really 4 great tag teams. You know, there's a lot of Micah and Hanako teaming up, a lot of Waka and Ryan teaming up, and again, a lot of Hina and Rana Yagami, maybe my new favorite team here in Stardom. And again, a lot of Ami Saori and Lady C. And you're absolutely right, an embarrassment of riches. I mentioned how I would like to see Bozil and Akira win those tag belts next year. Ami Saori and Lady C, we've really, especially you, partner, really been championing them since Ami's return. This was great stuff. Ami Saori and Micah, that to me was really the main crux of this match. Again, great double teamwork, triple teamwork from a Micah-led EXV team. Ultimate, a lot of big boots from one Lady C. As much as we dislike our chaps, we love the boots. Do you love the boots more than you hate the chaps, Rob?
There are very few things that can take away my hatred of those chaps, which is I don't know if it's just those chaps, because I don't mind Hazuki's.
Hazuki's the exception to the rule of everything, though. I think we've mentioned Hazuki's the exception to the rule in everything.
Because I also hated Shawn Michaels's. So again, Lady C is in good company there with the chaps that I hate. In fact, even though I do like Hazuki's, or even though they're inoffensive, I just think we should just make a blanket rule. Just get rid of all chaps. All chaps in wrestling should be banned. You know, like basically the pile driver was banned in the WWE for a while anyway. Yeah, just get rid of chaps. I think the wrestling industry will boom if we just get rid of chaps.
I think that's what it is. But so you didn't answer my question. Do you like the big boot more than you dislike the chaps?
No.
Who wins? Oh, okay. So you dislike the chaps more than
I can't tell you how much I hate the chaps. I love the big boot, and I love the fact that we are using it as a finish, because it does look outright devastating. And if she's not wearing the chaps, love the move. However, can't unsee the chaps. Lady chaps, can't see it.
I'll say this, and then I'll get to my final point of the match. I think maybe the chaps weigh down the big boot, so she was using the big more velocity coming up with them, and she get more wins.
Do you think so?
That's what I'm going with, the aerodynamics of the chaps.
Absolutely, you go for it.
That's what I'm going with. Whatever it takes, buddy. Whatever it takes. Ultimately, we get a little mini match towards the end with Rana Yagami and Micah. Great stuff there. Again, Micah is a huge star here for Stardom, and Rana Yagami continues to impress. So you give me like a Rana and Micah program kind of on house shows. Rana is only going to continue to get better working with Micah. A really great closing stretch between the two. 3 3/4 stars for me, good sir. My second favorite match from this show.
We move on then to the main event. Matt, obviously not your complaint, but your criticism of the main event from the show on the 13th in Fuji was that the 6-woman tag only had 12 minutes to tell the story. And obviously there was a lot of moving parts with 2 different matches being previewed. Another match here showcasing 2 matches being previewed. 15 minutes, almost 16 minutes here. Was that better? Were they able to tell their story better in this match than they were on the 13th?
Yeah, absolutely. They were able to take their time. I mean, the match starts off with a wild brawl, and then we throw Uriah Hime in. Again, obviously, she's a rookie. She's new. You know, she's the newest person on this in this match. So she takes the heat, and does a really good job selling. BMI 2000 do a great job cutting the ring off, which makes sense. They're your most established team here. They're the tag champs. So I really enjoyed that. And then we get Aya and Sayaka coming to the aid of Stars member, which I thought was cool, but at the same time made sense because they are the #1 contenders, and you're using this matchup as a vehicle to build up your Goddess of Stardom Championship match coming up in about 2 weeks' time. We get great stuff with the two Sayas, great stuff with Momo Kogo and Saya Kamitani. And I mentioned this before when they have tag matches or whatever, that Saya Kamitani gives Momo Kogo a lot in these matches. I think they might be like really good friends behind the scenes, because the way Kamitani bumps for Momo Kogo, it almost looks like Momo Kogo is going to be the one to dethrone Kamitani for the red belt. So I like that. I think that's what you want with your heel. You want your heel to make everybody else look good. That's one of the many, 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 many reasons why Saya Kamitani won Tokyo Sports MVP. We get some fantastic stuff with Saya and Konami. As great as their stuff was on the night before, it was even better here. And oh, by the way, Azusa Inaba is terrific as well. Ultimately, it's just too much hate. It's just too much bending of the rules. It's just too much of that hate teamwork that does in the Cosmic Angels and Stars team. And as Natsuko hitting that top rope freezer bomb, putting away one Aya Sakura to get more heat on them and more babyface sympathy on the challengers going into Sumo Hall. This match absolutely did what it needed to do. 3 3/4 stars for me.
And that, as we mentioned, is that there's not a great deal left to talk about in terms of the matches on these cards. Just quickly reminding you that obviously on the 18th, Stardom will be running, well, I say Stardom, it's more Natsu and Saori Anou, will be running their show at Shinkiba First Ring, which we believe is a cut price pay-per-view, as Matt mentioned earlier. Stardom are also running a show in Imabari Ehime on the Saturday, which is the 20th, and are in the Edion Arena Osaka number 2 on the 21st of December. No cards announced for those shows as of yet. Of course, then just the Korakuen Hall show on the 24th and the Christmas Day New Blood show as well before Ryogoku. So we are running out of time in terms of build and in terms of actually announcing the rest of that card. So exciting times ahead. But Matt Turner, before we sign off, give the good people what they want, my friend. It is time for Io and Kairi watch.
Yeah, again, this is kind of a slimmed down version as well with Io and Kairi. I'm a little longer than a gaze at Julia, buddy. But
a glimpse at Julia.
Yeah, I mean,
fleeting glimpse of Julia. In fact, we should just say who. That should just be the segment. Who?
I think next week, though, our buddy, and big ups to Darren Chatton giving me the time cues for this. And again, I do like the fact that he did not rub in the heinous defeat of your team. Heinous.
The injustice. Yeah.
Injustice for All, one of my favorite Metallica albums. Anywho, so Io and Rhea, they come to the ring and they go to cut a promo. And just as they get to the ring, out of the crowd, Asuka and Kairi jump Io and Rhea. Very old school. Really enjoyed that. It's a vicious beatdown. I mentioned this a few months ago. It looked like Kairi would eventually turn on Asuka and go babyface. She seems to be all in on this, basically calling Io a traitor. I came to you, and she's yelling at her as she's beating her up on the outside. You're a traitor to Io. Rhea Ripley gets misted. So not only is the Batmobile goes down my street, it hasn't been here in quite some time, Rob, because we've been getting a lot of snow. But as I always mention, that I like it when you do angles that build towards shows. So after this beatdown, on next week's show, we have Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. And then on that big show coming up on January 5th on Monday Night Raw, it is Io and Rhea challenging Kairi and Asuka for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And also on that show, Braun Breaker and CM Punk. So that show, Rob, which I believe you're leaving, I think on the 5th. I think that's your flight out. That might be your in-flight entertainment, along with Hot Frosty too, Electric Boogaloo.
Absolutely, of course, because Jesus, you've just ruined my Christmas with that mention.
No,
I've actually been talking about that to some of the kids today. We've had a Christmas film on, and we were watching the Christmas Chronicles, which is great, by the way, as a Christmas film. And one of my kids was moaning, saying, "Oh, it's one of the worst films ever." I was like, "Whoa. Let me tell you a story about a snowman that turns into a human for no discernible reason. Allow me to regale you with that story," and then proceeded to ruin his Christmas by telling him about Hot Frosty. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
What you should do is you should show them that movie, and then at the very end, just say, "This is actually based on a true life story."
Based on a true story.
And then when you get everybody like looking at you like you're nuts, and be like, the guy that plays Hot Frosty, his name is actually Rob Goodwin, and be like, "All right, guys, have a good Christmas break."
Exactly.
Ended on that.
And I'm just like that. That's what I look like, ladies and gentlemen. I don't. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to us this week. We truly do appreciate it. Obviously, the next couple of weeks are going to be a bit spotty in terms of what we can produce, because obviously I think we both leave to go to Japan on the 27th. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the weekend shows are live, because if they are live, then maybe we can get something out on the 22nd. But other than that, I think we're going to be struggling, because I know I can't do the 23rd, 24th. And obviously, we're not recording Christmas Eve, the night of Christmas Eve.
Yeah, maybe the 26th. I know, we'll talk off there. I know on the 22nd, cheap plug, on the 22nd, I'm actually supposed to record with Andy Zyke from Tokyo Joshi Pod. We're supposed to do we're going to do a preview of the show in Corkin, which obviously we're going to. So we'll figure something out, like 23rd, 24th, or 22nd, 23rd, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Obviously, as crazy as I am, that's not happening. Maybe on the 26th before we go, maybe we'll figure something out.
I won't be able to do that.
Okay.
My flight is at 6 a.m., which means that I've got to be at the airport at 2:30 in the morning, which means I've got to be in bed for 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
I don't have work. I'm off that day, so we'll figure it out. We'll talk off air.
We'll figure it out. I think if I'm leaving Kirsty for 10 days to go to Japan, and then I leave her on the last day to podcast, she might well behead me live on air. So
have her do the show with us.
We'll figure it out anyway, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you so much for listening. We truly do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us wherever. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment if you think that we have deserved it. Helps us be exposed to even more people. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, for all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as a whole host of bonus content, show previews, show reviews, and all the news as well from the world of Stardom and of Marigold. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast, apart from on Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Matt Turner, sounds off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Or you can shoot me an email. The email address is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic edition of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together, everybody's different, everybody's special.